Welcome back to Lord of the Rings Rise to War, or is it just Lord of the Rings War? I think they changed it recently. Anyways, we're going to be looking at King of the Dead. This is Zane's Mobile Gaming, and we're going to get right into, is he a good Tier 3 commander or not? So, let's go ahead and start with the basics. So, he's a leader, and you guys already know on my channel, I do not like leaders. I think having 5 command and not extra skill points, it's just not worth it. But it's not terrible. And since he buffs strictly his army, it does benefit him a lot more than being a balanced. So he gains good. He doesn't gain good stats. And that's one thing you're going to notice about him. He doesn't have good stats. His focus is low. And we'll get into that later. His speed is good, but he doesn't have a lot of stuff that... I don't think he has any skills that affects by his speed stats. So his stats aren't really that good. But I have him at rank 6. I've played with him a lot, and I'm going to give you some advice on how to use him, if you do unlock him, and is he worth putting your points into. So, the equipment you're going to run, obviously there's a variety of equipment that you could run for him. Probably you should run army buffs, like melee damage, damage resistance, maybe... madness immunity. It's whatever you're running, you could decide to use. So let's get into skill points. So obviously there are 2 type of builds for him. There's the commander damage build, and then there's the army damage build. Now, like I said earlier, his focus stat sucks. Okay, so in corporal, doing 200% damage, not gonna do a lot. Boggle, not going to do a lot. Dreadful Presence, not going to do a lot. This isn't going to give you that much. It's 15% of nothing is nothing, okay? I would highly recommend not putting any points into any of this skill tree, at least. This skill tree you'll put a point or 2 into. And don't touch Chaotic Retreat. So, you don't use him normally, okay? So... a big factor that's going to play into when you have him is you need access to the Caves of the Deads and have access to your Ghost Army. To your Oathbreakers. You're going to need access to your Oathbreakers. And what I'm going to tell you is you don't use anything else but Oathbreakers. Maybe some elite units that will give you a 30% damage bonus, like Sentinels and Cavaliers. You'll use them to gain some damage bonus, but that's about it, okay? You really just run Oathbreakers with him. Okay, so how is he at rank 1? When you just unlock him, you get him rank 1. He's bad. You don't want to run Ghost Army with him at rank 1. You don't even want to run a Ghost Army with him at rank 2. You have to wait, I kid you not, for him to be good with Oathbreakers, you have to wait, the voice crack, you have to wait until you get him to rank 5. That is a huge crossing. Not only that you have need Oathbreakers, but you need to have him at rank 5 to be effective with Oathbreakers. Now, another big thing another third downfall that I'm going to give you that he's not good against is the evil faction. He could do good against Khaldun, some of the focus stuff, but if you get hit by a Witch King, you could say goodbye to your entire army. You get hit by someone running any sort of alchemist, any sort of those pirate dudes, I forget what they're called, that do 100% burn damage. You run into anybody that is doing that, you're boned, okay? Try to avoid the evil faction unless you know what you're going to hit. So with him, you have to know what you're going to hit if you are fighting the evil faction. So you have to be careful what you're going to hit. Okay, so how do you build him if you have him at rank 5? If you already have him at rank 5. Okay, so how you build him is you build him with Army of the Dead maxed out. Okay, you want this maxed out. And then you're going to want him to have... next perk that you're going to max out is Dead Man. You're going to max out this. This is damage received minus 7% and damage dealt plus 14%, I believe. Very good, very effective. It helps buff your army for 7 points. Very decent. Next thing you're going to max out is Betrayer. You're going to max out Betrayer all the way to negate the healing. That's really good. And you could still heal, so don't worry. And then you're going to... I think my favorite one is probably Confusion over Intimidation. So because Confusion has a 30% chance to silence a commander, an enemy commander, and it reduces their focus, so it helps when you're fighting those focus-based commanders like Gandalf or Gandalf the White. It reduces the amount of focus damage you're going to take, which is very useful. And plus, you can silence any commander and make them not use their skills. So you max this skill out, this skill out, this skill out, this skill out, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to put 2 points into Men in the Mountains, and this is just going to minimize the damage you're going to do. Oath Breakers only have a 1 damage difference, so this doesn't affect them at all. It's going to affect the enemy army a lot more. So put 2 points in that. You gain a little extra focus. It's nice. And then you're going to put 1 point into Madness because it's going to immediately Madness. There's no chance. You just inflict someone with Madness. It's like having Hysteria on a piece of equipment on. It's very useful. It helps a lot. The next thing you're going to upgrade, if you have the extra points, you could either choose between Intimidation, if you are struggling against those physical-based commanders. If you're fighting good side, I'd recommend Intimidation. If you're fighting evil side, I would recommend Frightened. If you're fighting more evil side. It depends on which one. If you can put points into both, then go right ahead. If you can put max out Frightened and put remaining points in Intimidation, it's perfect. Okay, and then you still have that 15% chance to stun. So that's how you build him. Now, I have to say, I don't recommend this commander. I really don't. He has too many counters, and he's really hard to set up. First of all, you need to have access to the Caves of the Dead. Okay? And the problem with having needing direct access to the Caves of the Dead, is that you either need to play as Rohan or Gondor to have quick access to the Caves of the Dead, right? Unless you're a dominating faction of, one of these guys, maybe you can work your way over there, or the Dwarves, which is the dominant faction in our season. If I chose them, which I'm not, I want to play Lothlorien, I would have to march all the way over there to get to the Caves of the Dead if I was playing. And I think that's one of the biggest downfalls, is that this is the only area for the Caves of the Dead. So if you have the King of the Dead, you can't use him, and you just have him sit there and be a tile taker at low levels. So my recommendation is, I'm just gonna make this one a quick video. He's not worth it. I think his rating on the battlefield could change drastically. Okay, don't get me wrong, he could be a 10 out of 10 if you're using him right. But he could also very quickly be like a 3 out of 10 if you get hit or hit the wrong commander. If you smash through a Khaldun and then you hit a Witch King, it's just like, goodbye. And I think that's his weakness. I think he is too hard to set up. That's my problem. It takes a lot to set up. You have to choose specific factions. It's just, I don't think he's worth it. He doesn't do good with the normal army. He's really restricted to the special units. And even with the special units, you still have to be careful on what you're hitting. And I think that kind of sucks. So I would rank him a 5 out of 10. So if we'll average it out, we'll average him at a 5. And for a tier 3 commander to be ranked 5, just an ordinary commander, is just bad. So I would highly advise just scrapping your points. He's not worth it. At least right now in Season 6 so far, even with the elite skills, he's just not worth it. I know the Oathbreakers gain a 30% damage against enemies that can't be healed, which is useful. So you're gaining a 60% damage with elite skills altogether, which is a lot more damage, don't get me wrong. And he's still very effective, especially in the meta. It buffed him a bit more. But it's still, at the end of the day, you got to be careful what you fight, because those ghost units are really tough. 90% damage reduction is great for physical, but if you hit anything that's doing burn, focus, or anything like that, you're donezo. You're just done. So I don't recommend King of the Dead. I know he could be good. He could really do some. He could mess up some commanders, but he could get messed up by other commanders. With the new scouting ability in Season 6, maybe he's more valuable. I can't playtest him because I chose Lothlorien this season, and I'm going to stick with Lothlorien, even though they're not the dominant. They're not definitely not the dominant faction. But I choose who I stay with. So, yeah, that's it. I highly recommend just scrapping it. His items into Matham tickets if you get it. Don't put any points into him. He's just not worth it. He's too much to set up. Very unit specific. Very, very unit specific. Very. He can only really be good with health breakers. Well, if you guys have any comments, this is obviously very debatable. There's some King of the Dead players out there that would prefer him, that would probably say he's the best guy. And don't get me wrong, there's times where, yeah, that happens. So don't get me wrong. Go down in the comments. Tell me if you like him, let me know. If you don't like him, also let me know. Debate down in the comments. I check those frequently, and I even comment on some of the ones as well. Yeah, this is Zane's Mobile. I'm out. Thank you guys.